Hi, hello, how are you? You're listening to I've Always Said That with your host, Brad, and we are recapping, analysing RuPaul's Drag Race All Stars 11, episode 5. We are halfway through the pink bracket already. We are absolutely flying through this season. I think this bracket format makes the season feel like it's going super fast because it's like 3 episodes, new batch, 3 episodes, new batch. So it's like, oh my God. After this, we've only got one more episode of this pink bracket. So things are going pretty quickly. So the first episode of the pink bracket, I think, was an amazing episode. The performance challenges, Crystal and Aura ultimately taking out the win. Again, I would have given it to Selena. Aura did an amazing job, don't get me wrong, but Selena was my girl. I think she did phenomenal. And I really hope at some point she gets her flowers because she freaking deserves it. So, at the top of this episode, we have the first MVQ ceremony for this bracket. Now, I think the vibes are going to be pretty kumbaya, especially because of the challenge being in duos. Aura and Crystal winning. Obviously, they don't have points to give. But the other two pairs, I'm like, they're just going to give it to each other. Surely. Silky comes in and she's pretty worried because she is such a big threat. She's like, please give me a point, basically. And she's like, if you don't have a point after the first week, if you're on 0 points, you're not moving on to the semifinals. And I think she's right. I think if you go a week without getting any points, it's going to be really hard to crawl back and make it. You'd have to win and get points, which is just, I don't think, really gonna happen. Anyway, so we get to the ceremony. April goes first, and as expected, she gives it to Selena. Selena gives it to April. Vivacious gives it to Silky, and Silky gives it to Vivacious. They're all on 1 point each, to be expected. That brings the tally to Crystal in the lead with 3, Aura on 2, April, Selena, Silky, and Vivacious all on 1 each. Now, new day in the workroom, and Ru comes in to announce the challenge. The queens are tasked with making how-to videos. And I always have feelings about challenges like this. I don't know, they're just like, they're not my favorite challenges just because it's like, go make a video. And there's no real, direction besides like make a how-to video. I think with a little bit more direction, I think that just makes it a little bit more easier to one judge to create something good. Yeah, I don't know how I feel about just like the open go for it. Yes, it allows for creativity, but then it also allows for things to just fall off the track very easily. Ru reminds them to keep it short and sweet and calls out Silky specifically. Also, Silky's look, this wig that she's wearing in the workroom, criminal. So criminal. So as they're doing the walkthroughs, they all have their one-on-ones with Ru. There's a lot of food how-tos going on. And I'm like, this is what I mean. It's like when everyone just like does their own thing, it just, Anyway, Vivacious is doing a how-to for jerk chicken. April is doing tostones. Aura is doing the zombie apocalypse, how to survive the zombie apocalypse. Crystal's doing banana split. And Selena's doing how to keep your man from cheating. And Silky's doing making a cake for a man dating you out of convenience. So that's 4 of them doing food-related things straight off the bat. I'm like, right. If they were all having to do something like cooking, if you're doing like a cooking channel how-to video, I think that could be really fun and then compare it that way. Because there's like 4 cooking and then 2 totally random ones, like the zombie apocalypse and then a cheating one. I'm like, what are we actually judging off here? Like, it's a bit bizarre to me. When they actually went to film these house videos, I actually really thoroughly enjoyed these little clips. I thought they were all having a lot of fun. There was no one directing them, I noticed, which is not very usual. Usually they've got like Michelle or Ross or Carson or someone sitting there just like kind of giving notes to them. They were just fully on their own, which I loved because they were all in their element. And their crew was there and it showed the crew laughing at them and everything. And I was like, oh, we don't usually get this sort of behind the scenes view of the crew doing this and everything. It was just really fun. And at one point, Silky was like, oh, make sure you get like a view of the cake because I'm doing it. And they're like, yeah, there's a camera above you, Silky. And I'm like, love. It was great. I thought it was really good. So my expectations were lifted slightly, There's also a new pit crew in there, and they've been getting a lot of attention online, which I thought was very appropriate. That's all I'd say on that. As they're getting ready for the runway, Selena and Aura kind of confirm their alliance sort of thing, but then Selena also tries to confirm her alliance with April and Crystal in front of Aura. So Aura's standing there watching, and I'm like, Selena, girl, there's only 6 of you in this room. You need to be a little bit more sly when you've just talked to Aura and then gone to talk to them, and you're like, pss, 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 pss. Like, what else are you going to be whispering about? What do you mean? Selena, I feel like that could be her undoing, is just having too many alliances, them all catching on and being like, well, we're not giving you any points now, which I would hate to see happen, but is kind of I'm getting the feeling of what's going to happen. So scary. All right, category is barn this way. It's so stupid. So farmyard, barn, life. Okay, sure. First up is April Carry On. Phenomenal. Just absolutely impeccable. She's wearing hay. It's a hay gown, but it is so detailed and like ornate. And I never thought I'd use hay and ornate in the same words. It's this beautiful, like, I don't know if it's a trumpet or mermaid skirt that is so delicately done, and all the weaving with the hay. And these hip pieces that kind of like shoot out with the corset. She's got the gloves and then this beautiful, massive, structured hat as well. And then the detailing of the Puerto Rican flowers as earrings. Oh, this look is just such perfection. She looks incredible. And I'm just so infatuated by this look. And I think it was Carson who said this is one of the best looks he's seen on Drag Race, period. And I'm like, correct. And I think it's just so crazy that, hey, where it's just one color, one sort of texture, and you kind of think of it as like a cheap sort of, I think it could almost look like burlap, which is obviously not a very flattering thing, but this just looks so beautiful. I'm overwhelmed, so overwhelmed. Next up, we have Aura Mayari, and she is a barn owl. This look is fantastic. I love it. I do have to agree with one of what the judges said. With what one of the judges said. There we go, got there. A little bit more brown. I think, yeah, a little bit more color, a little bit more texture would have really just put this look over the edge. But her makeup is stunning. I love this beautiful, feathers, chest piece that go out into these massive structured shoulders, and she's got the headpiece on as well. I do think it loses a bit of detail from like the waist down. It's just like a bit of fabric, so that's where I think if she put some like brown feathers integrated into that, I think that could have looked really spectacular. Next up, we have Crystal Method giving us chicken. Glamorous chicken. Now, I don't like this look. I think it's just too much going on. I think my issue with this look is the neck area. And I know that chickens, if you're looking at the, not geometry, the geometry of a chicken, the anatomy of a chicken, it's kind of like triangular from its head to its body. So I get that it's correct, but if you're doing it in this, I still want to see your neck, because it's kind of just giving. And then she's got those things on the side of a chicken's face, those red things, I don't know what they're called. They're coming down in front of her face as well. And I was like, it's just a bit too much going on in that area. The yellow gloves and then the chicken legs, the heeled chicken legs, might I add you, with the blue dress, love. I think that is done so impeccably well. I think her makeup is great, and I think the chicken mohawk, obviously I don't understand the parts of a chicken, but you know what I mean, looks fantastic. It's just that neck area that I'm just like, oh, there's something about it that's just like not sitting right with me. Then we have Selena STDs, and as she came around the corner, I was like, oh, they're not happy, because she is also wearing hay too. Now, her look, while using the same materials April did, it is very different. She's got the woven corset, but then the rest of the skirt and dress is all kind of just like loose hay, like placed very nicely. I think it's layered so beautifully, and then she's got some offshoots coming out from underneath the corset up to her face as well. I think it's structured beautifully. I think it's made beautifully. I think she should have left the hat in the workroom, because when she saw April's hat compared to her hat, I think that's the one thing where I'm like, no, because her hat was kind of floppy and she took it off. And I loved her hair that she had on underneath and everything. She had a little basket. I thought that made it super, super cute. And I really loved that. I think just could have done without the hat. If I was comparing the two, which you can't help but do, April's is better. But Selena STD's definitely incredible. Still a beautiful look. Then we have Silky Nutmeg Ganache, and she's giving us Cow with her iconic bulbous ponytail, I guess you could call it. Look, this look is a little bit on the more basic side. It is just a cow print catsuit with a, what does she call it? Moodonna. She's got the corset on with the coned bras, but it's coned udders, which I really like that detail of. I was like, that's a very creative detail, with one of which did spurt out milk towards the judges, which was really fun. However, ultimately on the more scaled back side, especially in comparison to a lot of what the others wore. Then we have Vivacious. Let's all just take a moment to accept that Vivacious is a tractor on the main stage. Now, when I first saw this look, I was like, girl, what have you done? This is horrific. So the story goes, she did have a look commissioned by a designer. The designer did not deliver the look for All Stars. She had nothing for this look. Vivacious had to make this in a matter of hours in the workroom, and this is what she was able to come up with. So massive props to her for putting this together. I think maybe she should have gone with something a little less ambitious than a tractor, because that's incredibly hard to try and pull off. But you know what? She swung for it, and I really have to admire that for her. She does look so pissed off in the face walking down the runway, and like she kind of always does, but tonight especially. And I'm like, I understand why. I absolutely understand why. I think it's so when designers don't come through, when these girls are spending so much money on these looks for these shows and they're just not crossing the line and not getting there. I'm like, that's so slack. I understand so many hours and so much detail goes into these looks, but if you can't do it, don't agree to it in the first place. Like, ah. My runway rankings would definitely be April, Aura, Selena, Crystal, Silky, Vivacious. And then my challenge video ranking for the how-to videos would be Crystal, Aura, Vivacious, Selena, Silky, April. These videos, when we watched them, I was like, I'm not loving these. These aren't funny. They're not. Crystal's was the best. I thought she had the best concept. It was very, very simple with the banana split, and she just so happened to have a banana outfit. So that was interesting. Aura's was the zombie apocalypse, and I didn't hate it. I thought it was quite good. I still think it was a little bit cringe, but she is a cringe queen. Vivacious, I thought it was fun. It was her doing the jerk chicken thing. She was very, very serious while like massaging these rubber chickens. So I was like, okay, slay, sure. Selena's was crazy. I've forgotten the name, but the little doll. And she was very much inspired by Little Pound Cake. So she wanted to make a sort of homage to that. I don't think it was quite successful, the video as a whole, but it was still all right. Silky's I didn't really laugh at all. She had like a mini me, and I thought that was a great idea. I just don't think the execution was done right, and I just didn't find it funny. And then April, the how-to video aspect of it was clear and concise. The humor just wasn't there. So I was like, I think that's where it fell flat for me. The tops in the judges' eyes, however, was Crystal, Selena, and Silky. And I was like, okay, sure. And then they announced the top two as Crystal Method and Silky Nutmeg Ganache. So the fact that they put Selena up towards the top again, and it was like kind of just got my hopes up, because I was like, look, didn't really absolutely love Selena's video, but like, she's up there. I'm like, give her the win, please. Like, just give her the win. And they played in her face yet again, which is just so rude. And Silky and Crystal got the win. I would have probably given it to Aura, to be honest. You know, I don't know, but I didn't love this challenge, so. Anyway, Silky and Crystal lip sync to The Shade of Winter by The Bangles. Didn't love this song, didn't love the lip sync. Sorry, I'm feeling a bit of a hater today. Crystal is dressed up as like Red Riding Hood wolf, and Silky has got her big flags waving around, which I thought it was really fun when she took that out. I just don't think any of them were really in tune with the song, but then I also just didn't really like the song, so nothing was kind of giving what it needed to give for me personally. I was like, oh, I think Silky's gonna win because the flags, and she put on a great performance as well. She did block Crystal at one point with the flags, and I was like, yeah, good on her. If you're gonna block someone, you've got flags, they're just gonna be laying around, so if someone gets blocked, someone gets blocked. What are you gonna do? Wasn't mad about that at all. And then, so Silky wins the final challenge, the lip sync. So she gets the extra 10K and the extra point. So that brings the total to Crystal on 5, Silky on 4, Aura on 2, and then April, Selena, and Vivacious on 1 point. There's only one episode left of this bracket, so I'm very keen to see what happens. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Ivealwayssaidthat.pod. This has been Brad for I've Always Said That. Thank you, you're welcome, love you, bye.